I guess when I was aware that what the skill set I had has a lot, we have so much to offer, and there's so much value that you bring to your clients from the education that we've had. I thought it was really worthwhile putting it out there. That gave me the confidence, I guess, to realise that what I did is a really good thing.
It's very stressful, but it's very rewarding. If you look around and look at what other people do for a living, you think, accountants, lawyers, doctors, they're all really crappy jobs, I reckon. So architecture is a good job and diverse, and starting your own business is great. Everyone should do it, I think.
I've studied architecture for 5 years now. What can I do to transfer my skills over into a business model?
I remember it was periodic goals, you want to achieve within 2 years, 5 years, 10 years.
Well, I think aspiring architectural graduates should work for the best architects they can find. They should seek out architects that they think are doing good work and go and work for them and see how they do it. Work with a good designer for a while. That's really important to see how good design is done. So I was very fortunate.
I think it's arrogant to assume architects can be interior designers, but it doesn't take long. Maybe I should put this on tape. I think they're definitely transferable skills, and I think it's really worthwhile recognising both of those skill sets so that play off really well together.
Sort of stuck my nose into every job that was being done in the building, and by doing that you learn how to build all sorts of buildings, plus you learn about legislation, you learn about problems, people talk about the problems they have. So that initial 10 years after you get your degree, there's just an enormous amount of information to learn too.
A bit fanciful at the time, but I can see now why we did that, because it gave you a sense of a perspective of progression and how you could focus on achieving things in the business.
And getting onto as many building sites as you can and seeing how things get built.
I've always liked the idea of starting my own business and working for myself, but I think I need a little bit of advice from industry professionals before I'm able to do this.
The business course I did, which opened my eyes to about business. The first thing they said was that 60% of all new businesses fail in the first year. So I found that quite shocking.
I did get a lot of advice from my accountant and my insurer, and I've started getting legal advice from a law professional. Definitely the PI insurer and the accountant are really useful.
I guess I had an intrinsic understanding of what was required. Because I'd worked for so long, I knew exactly what was required to run an office, So I had, say, about 15 years of experience in architectural businesses and a range of architectural businesses. I worked in about 6 or 7 businesses.
And the other 40% of people who don't fail are happy that you failed. Puts them in a better position. So I realise that it's a fairly there's sort of some brutal aspects to business, no matter what sort of business you're in, whether it's professional, service, or selling things. There's a cutthroat side to it. I've got a lot of help from the HIA, which is the Housing Industry Association.
Okay.
They've got quite a lot of helpful online stuff, as well as consultants who can help you. And it's a bit more geared to what I was doing too, so that's quite helpful.
Yeah, I have a few architects in my family. My brother is an architect. He's been a sole practitioner for the last year and a half. My sister-in-law is an architect who's been a sole practitioner for, I think, probably about 10 years.
I did a small business scheme which helped me launch my first business, which was called the NIE scheme, which was a government assisted scheme, and it was a 12-week business course, crash course in running a business. And I also did some marketing workshops with some marketing people about how you approach promoting your wares, basically.
My understanding is that a business needs good strategic planning, including a business plan.
I absolutely didn't have a business plan when I started the business. So.
I think especially if I wanted to borrow money against it, borrow money to establish, pay staff in advance or purchase equipment or something like that. I think a business plan is necessary. For the way I'm doing it, I don't think it's a necessary thing.
You sort of casually look at it every 6 months, but formally, probably not for about 3 or 4 years. You look at it, but you're always referring to it to some degree, even if it's informally.
I'm from a small town, and I was thinking after doing my master's I would go back and start a practice there for a very reason that I wouldn't have any competition. But I'm wondering whether that would be a right choice for me.
I've lived in Brisbane a long time, so I've got a lot of friends here and contacts. So having contacts is where you get all your work from. So architecture is quite a unique business model because you can't really advertise for work.
Sort of captured what they call a North Coast style, which is a kind of a tree change, a kind of beachy kind of natural kind of timber house style, which very seemed to suit to that Northern Rivers area. I mean, I had work all over Australia to some degree, but that was where it was mainly, that was its origin. Gold
Coast and the North Coast, and then there's Ipswich and Caloundra out there, but Brisbane would become a hub.
I mean, I would love to have a business in another city, but I just think so much of what's made me able to do it at this time is about who I know and my networks and things. I think establishing those networks in another city would be a really hard thing to do.
Because you've got two population centres about 100 kilometres apart, you could see that eventually we're all joining up, and Brisbane is growing that way.
I'm wondering how the registration process would help me to start my business.
The way the registration process is structured, you get a great overview of the entire process of architecture.
Good idea. I think registration forces people to take that extra step in terms of professionalism.
It helps you with things like how to make fees, how to deal with subconsultants, how to form a contractual relation with someone.
It was something I did virtually as soon as 2 years after graduation. So I just went straight up and registered. And
the exam when I sat it was quite good in that you had to practice for a couple of years and then go back and sit the exam, and you really needed the experience of being an architect and to succeed at the exam. So yeah, it's a valid approach to establishing people who are competent at their job.
Before I did the registration process, it was a little bit, my contractual relationship with my clients was a little bit ad hoc, but it made all that stuff kind of, it set a template for how to talk to your clients and even other consultants, which was really, really useful.
It's just due diligence. It's just making sure that you're very thorough in everything you do, and that you have well thought out systems which you can rely on. I mean, the professionalism really is bound up with the creativity, but the creativity requires professionalism to be effective and to be efficient, basically.
I think you do need a bit of, you need to understand the whole process so that you can get your client the right amount of value. And there is a lot of, I think the biggest thing is just being aware of the risk that's involved. And I think being across all that is really important. But the registration process is amazing.
The trick to running an architectural practice is billing very accurately and monthly. You know.
The more you do something, the more that sort of work is attracted to you.
Because the bills in architecture are always quite large bills, and a very wise man once told me that the best business to be in is one where you send out lots of little bills, because if you've got the choice.
I feel like a lot of architects perhaps could learn a little bit more about managing human resources, because it's not something that's taught to us in our course, especially if you're a small-scale practice. I mean, perhaps it might be different in the larger, more corporate architecture practices.
You're not the financial advisor. You're not the personal guru. You're not all lots of things. You're not. But you do get sucked into that. You do get roped into that because you're dealing very intimately with somebody, whether it's especially residential design.
From this, I understand being registered helps me think in a professional sense, which I can easily apply to business.
I think it's interesting to hear that a lot of the good advice we've heard is about going off and getting some experience under another professional first before starting out on our own.
Considering the facts that have been put forward, location becomes a key aspect of business planning, both professionally and personally.
A business plan is good in developing long-term strategic goals, but it's good just to keep it simple. It should be your design, communication and your networking skills that shine.
I think our education as architectural graduates does give us a lot of insight into the way people work and people live and those kind of things, but it's been really encouraging today to hear from professionals that this is true and we are prepared to go off and start our own businesses and do our own things professionally in the future.